Good morning, everyone, and lunchtime and good afternoon, depending on where you are. I feel like I am Jim Carrey at this moment. Hukaklik Clown Petki Hunine Tanaha, Ki Sukikik Gukamakuk. My name is Beverly O'Neill. I'm from the Tanaha Nation and with you today from the unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people in downtown Vancouver. Today's session, we have Jason Cardinal with us from Flying Dust First Nation out of Saskatchewan, and our topic today is canning, jarring, storing fish and other foods. So thank you for joining us for the Canadian Agricultural Human Resources Council National Indigenous Sharing Circles itself. So this is our third of our sessions in this season. Our previous two sessions covered things on partnerships partnerships was one of them. Our last session 2 weeks ago. All of our sessions are free. Please encourage others to join us on these sessions. We also record them, so keep that in mind. If you happen to miss or you want to return to some of the comments and ideas that people shared with us, you're welcome to do that. Canadian Agriculture Human Resources Council posts them on their website. If you've missed last year and the year before, you can see them online on their website. Just go to CAHRC website and Google Indigenous Sharing Circles, and that'll bring you to them. They also have some cool magazines and newsletters and information that they send out via electronic services, and they just released their magazine that talks about the sharing circles. So sign up; those are free for you to get as well. It's important, regardless of even when we're doing these Zoom sessions, that we acknowledge the First Nations whose lands we're on. So I mentioned I'm on the unceded lands of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people in downtown Vancouver. Please let us know who's out there. Add into the chat line your name, where you're from, and please feel free to share your land acknowledgement of where you're joining from on the session itself. Couple quick things is that at the end of our session, you will receive, as you're closing, a quick little survey from CAHRC. Let us know how we did on these sessions and what topics you would like to know. Also, at the end of the session, we do target to finish at the top of the hour. That's 1 o'clock Ottawa time. In Vancouver, that's 10 a.m. But we do plan to finish by then. You must be present to win. At that time, we do a draw for $100. So those of you who've been on our sessions before, you know that at that time, if your name is drawn, you just put into this chat that you're there, and then Aaron reaches out to you and we get your contact information to send the funds itself. So there we go. So again, our session today is on canning, jarring, and foods, but we'll have, first of all, Rebecca Balson from Canadian Agriculture Human Resources Council say a couple of words on behalf of the Canadian Agriculture Human Resources Council.
Thank you, Beverly. So on behalf of the Indigenous Advisory Committee of the Canadian Agriculture Human Resource Council, we welcome you to this 8 webinar series called Sharing Circles. Sharing Circles is designed to share wise ways of Indigenous agriculture, harvesting, food processing, and packaging and partnerships. As Beverly said, my name is Rebecca Balston. I'm the Stakeholder Engagement Specialist here at CAHRC. I'm also a dairy farmer in Western Quebec and farm with my husband and 3 children. The agriculture industry is so open for opportunity and to learn and grow together. We're happy that we have been able to continue these Sharing Circle sessions for the third year in a row, now, and with the ability to offer more sessions this year. We're looking forward to this year's series expanding on the topics of the past 2 years. We're very fortunate and privileged to hear from all of the wonderful speakers today. So with no further ado, I'll pass back over to Beverly and start today's session. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Rebecca. And again, a reminder to our attendees, let us know who you are and where you're from. Add that into the chat line, and it lets the other people know you as well. And in these sessions, we encourage people to connect with each other. We're always looking for speakers and people to help lead conversations or be a part of conversations. Two of the other things we're doing this year with the Indigenous Agricultural Advisory Committee to CAHRC is we're developing some startup guides as well, some information sheets. So we'll be looking for people to help with those, review those themselves. So let's continue here. Our guest speaker today is Jason Cardinal with the Flying Dust First Nation. Sorry, I said agriculture partnerships. It's actually on food canning and serving. And of course, Jason will probably also tell us about some of the partnerships that they're doing. So, Jason, say hello, and you've got control of the screen.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me onto the webinar today, and happy to share an update about the projects that we're implementing at the Flying Dust Market Garden here on the Flying Dust First Nation, located in Treaty 6. So today I'd like to start off the presentation with a little bit of history behind the market garden. So I have a little video here made by Albert DeRocher.
When we talk about the market garden, the market garden started in 2009. We started with 2 individuals, and it grew from there to about 25 people. So what it's been doing for the past 11 years is we're training some of our members that don't have, a large skill set, and giving them a green certification. It's a 2-year process through the University of Saskatchewan. More importantly, what it's done has been a stepping stone for a lot of people that otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to, gain really good employment anywhere because of the lack of sometimes education or the skills, right? It's been a great stepping stone for many of our people that have gone through there. Now a lot of them are working either, in full-time work with the First Nation or full-time work within the city or full-time work elsewhere. Again, we have off-take, like little sales agreements with Sobeys, Thomas Fresh, who provides to some of the Walmarts and some of the Costco's. We sell at the market, farmers market here in Meadow Lake. We sell to the co-op, but more importantly, we provide a lot of produce for our members.
My name is Bill Galaju. I'm one of the supervisors here. We got about 4 acres of vegetables here. We're kind of behind on the weeding now, so we're kind of trying to catch up with that. We had really basically maintained the food source for the band for the past some years now. There's a lot of people that tell us that the market garden is a good thing to have, so that's what we're really concentrating on, and the band is really supporting the garden, which we really appreciate so much.
For a long time now, we've been wanting to bring the buffalo back to our community. The buffalo is a sign in Native traditions, right? Of strength, of pride. And so we wanted to bring that back to the community. And we were blessed enough to have Elk Island National Park in Edmonton provide us with some buffalo. And we were able to develop an area here in the community where they could stay and be housed. And we just finished building about a 40,000 fence to house them in now. Buffalo don't take very much care because they're a very hardy animal, very strong animal, and that's the other thing I like about them in terms of our values. It was very important for us to get that, to have them involved and be in our community. It gives us just another sense of the things that are core to us as an
So, as of May 1st, 2023, this year, I accepted the position as a Flying Dust manager, or Flying Dust Market Garden manager. And I have a background in data science and automation and digital agriculture roles, as well as business and industrial mechanics. So, nestled in the heart of Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, on the Flying Dust Reserve, the Flying Dust Market Garden has been a symbol of sustainable agriculture and community development since its establishment in 2009. With a sprawling 170 acres farmstead, our garden is dedicated to nurturing the land and fostering growth, not only in terms of crops, but also in the lives of those it touches. The Flying Dust Market Garden is a community-based market garden operating on the Flying Dust First Nation. In 2016, we entered into a partnership with the Flying Dust Holdings Corporation, which provides financial oversight and funding support for operational purposes. The ultimate goal is to develop a self-sufficient business organization in partnership with the Flying Dust First Nation. The market garden began its operation in 2009 with only 2 acres of land, and it has since expanded to 170 acres, including 20 acres for potato cultivation, 6 acres for mixed vegetables, and 1.5 acres for fruit, and half an acre for herbs and leafy green lettuce. Since its inception, our gross income has grown from over 26,000 to over 800,000, including external funding. And revenue from produce has increased from 2,000 to over 100,000, utilizing only 16% of our field potential. To achieve this, the Flying Dust Market Garden has implemented various stages, including stabilizing production, training on equipment use and repair, local and regional marketing efforts, and value-added organic processing. Flying Dust Market Garden predicts to reach production capacity by 2025. So our strategic approach for the future revolves around diversification of products, sustainable practices, community engagement, and innovation. We are committed to offering quality produce, sustainability, community enrichment, and continual innovation. Our unique value proposition lies in the use of sustainable and organic farming practices, complemented by an online platform for easy online ordering. We take pride in serving a diverse range of customers, including local residents, First Nation communities, food banks, elders, schools, restaurants, farmers markets, and wholesale companies. Our commitment to quality and sustainability has earned us a loyal customer base. And this is a list of the customers that we currently serve. Our primary suppliers is our fields and our beehives, with additional partnerships for seeds, equipment, and packaging material. Our regular hours of operation are from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to 5 as well. We're typically closed on Sundays, but customers can also access our online platform to place orders outside of regular business hours. To ensure that smooth operations at the Flying Dust Market Garden, we utilize a range of equipment, including tractors, cultivators, seeders, harvesters, potato processing equipment, storage facilities, greenhouses, honey extractors, and poultry processing equipment. To operate legally, we maintain our commitment to quality and sustainability, and we comply with all the relevant licensing, permits, and regulations, including organic certification, safe food handling, permits, environmental regulations, business licensing, and apiary inspections. So, our supervisors play a critical role in ensuring the success of the Flying Dust Market Garden, and we are deeply committed to promoting Indigenous employment and economic development, with approximately 96% of our staff members being Indigenous. The gender ratio at the market garden is roughly about 67% male and 32% female, and our age ratio is pretty diversified. During this year, we had a payroll expense of over 300,000, but we were able to employ roughly about 32 community members, and at a seasonal peak of 24 full-time staff during like seeding and harvesting. And yeah, so next year we plan on going to 7 full-time with a total amount of 18 staff and an estimated payroll expense of 200K. So we've kind of planned it out in a way that we optimize our labor during the times that are I guess where we're needing the extra hand. So during the seeding and harvesting, especially during the summer months, we plan on increasing about 3 to 6 more positions for summer students, depending on the interest. And, yeah. With financial support, we have secured funding from the Makeway Foundation as well as Local Food Infrastructure Fund. And funding for these from this grant provides, I guess, funds for activities that create 2 or more food systems. And for this, we used it for beehives and fruit trees and things like that. Where am I? Sorry. The Flying Dust Market Garden Community Food Forest Initiative aims to establish a sustainable and diverse orchard ecosystem. We have planted over 150 fruit trees, including apples, plums, hazelnuts, and haskell's, along with 245 berry bushes, contributing to the local food security and enhancing the biodiversity. As well as, hold on. Oh, sorry. Under the leader Lorenzo, we have acquired 156 beehives, and we have completed a successful honey harvest. And we're in the process of exploring some value-added products, such as flavored infusions with the honey, beeswax-based products, honey wine, beverages, and health products, and a few educational events for the community as well. Alma Bear is our kind of like our in-house elder mentor. She was in charge of taking care of all the summer students and making sure that they get like a well-rounded experience at the market garden. So they had the chance to do some woodworking, some beekeeping, greenhouse operation, gardening, tree planting, commercial farming, equipment operation, storefront management, sales, drone operation, website building, and food preservation as well. The greenhouse was mainly used for seed production, but we also had partnerships with the local school where we had classrooms of grade 4 students learning about greenhouse operation, and we planted flowers and other vegetable crop, and we were able to transplant them into our garden as well as a garden at the school. And yeah. along with some of our summer student initiatives, we were able to finish building our chicken coop. So we fully fenced it. We put the chicken wire mesh over the top. We reinforced the structural flooring in the building and made some new entrances. We were kindly given a donation from Rebecca for a chicken plucker. And into the next year, we plan on acquiring 200 additional chickens and going from there. At the Flying Dust Market Garden, our main crop is potatoes. So we're also exploring some value-added products such as potato flour, dehydrated potato products, snacks and bakery items, as well as ready-to-eat meals like soup mixes and stuff, as well as dog treats. So yeah. As we conclude this chapter, we look forward to a thriving and dynamic future for the Flying Dust Market Garden, and our upcoming priorities include crop selection, diversification of produce, market outreach, branding, and achieving milestones for the market garden development. And then I just wanted to share some pictures of this season, some of the things that we were able to accomplish. I would also like to share our store that we have. So we have a web-based store, and I'll just bring it up here really quick. Screen number 2. And so you can view our website at fdmg.ca. We made this in partnership with our summer students. So we did a lot of inventory, a lot of pictures, a lot of drone flying, and yeah, so this is what they were able to make. This is a picture of our facilities and some of our community areas, and you can see the garden in the background. But you can explore some of the products that we currently offer as well. And that's everything. Any questions?
Jason, that's the only word I can say is wow. It's just absolutely amazing what you guys are doing at Flying Dust First Nation. I want to just ask a couple questions here and draw it back into you have a lot of things on food storage, and your youth initiative itself is pretty amazing. You mentioned labeling, packaging, as well as making sure that you're able to meet the government standards on food safety to sell things into marketplaces. Can you tell us what are the components of your food preservation program itself? And by the way, I love that you got an elder involved in it too. So tell us, what is the food preservation program? What are you teaching in food packaging and canning?
Yep, so this was our actually first year of implementing a program like that. There was a lot of interest from our summer students as well as community members on learning how to preserve food. And our elder, Alma Bear, she's actually pretty experienced in other techniques such as smoking meat and stuff like that. So she was really interested in helping, train our students in food preservation. And we utilized a community kitchen that we have on the community here, and we brought our summer students there along with the produce that we had grown at the market garden. And over a few days, we just followed some recipes and stuff like that, and we tried different variations of pickling vegetables. So we did like hot peppers and cucumbers and carrots as well. And yeah, so it was a nice little experience that we had to share with our summer students. And yeah.
Hot peppers doesn't sound like a traditional food.
No, but
How did you select what you were going to learn?
I think it was more of an interest thing, like some things that we thought would taste really good pickling. And then we just, explored it on our own kind of thing. So yeah.
That's so interesting. We have a question from some of the people here, and it's like, when you how are you funding your training programs?
So a lot of our funding comes from on-source revenue from the band, so the FTB Holdings Limited, but we also access quite a few different grant programs through the Government of Canada. One of them was that LFIF grant, which helped us increase our agriculture infrastructure. But there's also other funding opportunities and gift contributions that we received from organizations like Makeway, where it helps with some things that you may be struggling in terms of organizational supplies and stuff. So
could you expand? What is LFIF?
that's a local food infrastructure fund. Okay. So yeah, it's I think it was a $50 million initiative held by the Government of Canada to increase infrastructure. And basically its whole purpose was to try to create 2 additional food, I guess, things that you can add to your community. And some of the things that we implemented at our market garden was an apiary, so pollination and stuff like that, as well as a fruit orchard and greenhouses and freeze dryers as well.
Did you start off with staff that were already trained and experienced in your market garden, or did you train people to develop those skills?
Yeah, so a lot of the staff that's employed at the market garden has been there since the beginning. So we have a very experienced staff group, but I would say at least over 50% of the staff are new people, young people that are just gaining interest in agriculture or in some different educational fields related to agriculture. And yeah, so we're able to kind of incorporate both groups of people, new and experienced.
What are the key elements, or what do you find is attracting people to working in this, excuse the pun, field?
I think it's a variety of different things. So I think a lot of people have different interests. So some could be like equipment operation to mechanics to precision agriculture with drones and data and stuff like that. But as well as just a hands-on working outdoors with wildlife and plants and stuff as well, and learning that aspect.
So when we talk about Indigenous agriculture, we speak about it from our perspective. It's not just ground, but we also talk about air and water. And when we talk Indigenous agriculture, we talk about harvesting and foraging. How are you incorporating Indigenous cultural practices into your very large operations?
So we're actually pretty fortunate. We do have a few traditional harvesting areas in our garden area. So we're pretty abundant in wild mint and a few other medicinal herbs. And so we offer that opportunity for gathering to the community members. And quite often throughout the year, they'll come visit the market garden and make a journey out to the river, the lake, and harvest traditionally the mint and stuff like that. And you'll see them like carrying the bundles of different medicinal plants through the garden. So it's pretty nice to see.
So are these community events you're coordinating?
No, these are just I guess personal interests, it seems more like at the moment. So
on the moment there.
Yeah.
You've talked about some foraging and harvesting itself, and also bringing foods and herbs and canned items and packaged items to market itself. At what stage are you bringing in the food safety standards?
Right from the beginning. So we try to incorporate the training program right at the start to get them familiarized with food safety, ensuring that we follow all the proper steps and making sure that our product is safe to consume. And yeah.
So right at the early stages,
Yeah.
I understand in foraging, you have to make sure your buckets meet the food
Mhm.
safety standards too. So
Mhm.
there's a lot more to it than what we did in the 80s and going out in the mountains with our buckets and just gathering. So at some stage you have to make sure you incorporate that. Question was, are you fermenting any vegetables in your packaging with spicy carrots, or and what's the preservation method you're looking at?
We're not doing a whole lot of fermentation at the moment. The closest thing that we did this year would be fermenting of honey, which then turns it into wine. And so we got to kind of experience that and see how that turns out. The interesting thing is it can also be used for vinegar for food preservation as well.
Wow, I saw that you have honey mead on it. So someone asked about the online sales and what is the process in the online sales? So great that part of what you're training is teaching people how to build an online web presence itself. What was the process in that, and how do you get it from computer to the consumer?
So we utilize the machine that kind of helps us track our inventory as well. So we have weight scales in the facility, and we're able to weigh our produce, and then it automatically updates the inventory in our point of sale system, which is also connected to our website. And so the things that you see on the website is pretty accurate on what we have in stock for inventory. So it was easy to try to, I guess, add our inventory to our online platform. But in terms of like online sales, a lot of our sales is local.
Mhm.
So they'll be able to like place an order, and then we would be able to send a confirmation on that we can complete the order. We do offer some products for delivery, like honey as an example. That might be the only product at the moment that we could deliver a long distance.
Yeah, because it's amazing. So one thing, tracking inventory and delivery, and most of it's done locally. So that's pretty amazing. Question is that what type of food safety training do you incorporate into this? Because I know there are many different types and stages that you have to look at.
So we have an organization called MLPC. It's a tribal council, and they have a lot of health programs that we're able to access through them. And one of them is safe food handling. And so they offer that course quite regularly. And it's not only just for, the market garden staff, it's actually open to all community members. So yeah.
So there's the food safety. I understand too that one of the things that you have to do when you're looking at food processing is have a food plan in place, a food safety plan in place. And I think that's called a HAPC, hazardous.
Mhm.
That's the first word, and the rest I can't think of at the moment. But what about your HAPC planning?
So I don't really do a lot that like personally myself just yet, but we do have like checklists and stuff like that that we do follow throughout the business, and those have just been implemented in the past, and we've just been following them since. We do follow like regular inspections from other organizations for soil health and things like that as well. And
Super. By the way, we will hazardous analysis critical control points. Thanks for us. So that's what the HAPC is. And just to give you a high level view of that is, it's the plan that you have to have in place in terms of how you're going to be handling your food and creating that safe environment from every stage of the process itself. Now you've been packaging food, and it sounds like you're getting into some fairly large numbers when you're getting into processing, packaging, and canning. What about the supply of those items, of those packages?
so actually, it's just a new venture this year. So this is something that we just started exploring. We haven't started to commercialize any of it yet. It's more of just like experiment and seeing what we like, and if it's something that we can include in our business at the market garden. So we've explored, canning, food preservation with freeze dryers as well. Yeah.
Freeze dryers. Can you is that a specific room? Is it equipment? What is freeze drying?
Yep. So we purchased a freeze dryer. I believe it was was it? I can't Pure Harvest or something like that. And it has like 5 trays that you can load up with different produce. and it removes moisture in the food, and later on you're able to like rehydrate the food by adding water.
I do something like that too, but it's usually called burning.
Oh.
Sometimes I'm a good cook, sometimes I'm not itself. So what are you know, you've got a thriving youth program. What are some of the things you hear from youth that they've said that attracts them to working in your working in the agricultural in our Indigenous agricultural fields?
Maybe it's the transferable skills that they're able to experience. So, you know, we do a lot of construction, a lot of, you know, digital processes as well, which could help them in future careers. One of the things that really interested them was the drone operation. So using like modern technology to keep track of different agricultural fields and, you know, livestock as well, which was pretty interesting. So the students were able to capture video footage of pretty neat stuff, as well as, you know, like bison running through the field or, you know, other wildlife in the area.
So it's incorporating and connecting them with new technologies into agriculture itself. I really love that you have an elder involved in the program. Can you tell us what some of the things that your elder is sharing and key teachings that you want your young people to learn?
Yeah, so the knowledge transfer is something that we really value, and having Alma as a part of our team is something that we really treasure. And you know, she's been able to teach her students a lot this past year with a greenhouse operation, maintaining plants, transplanting seedlings, some food preservation techniques, as well as canning and things like that. In the community, she prepares quite a bit of, you know, smoked meat. So she does that quite regularly. She has people drop off, you know, different sections to smoke and stuff like that. And so she distributes that quite frequently throughout the community. And so our summer students were able to experience a little bit of that. But she also maintains, you know, a list of all the community elders that we have in our community, and she makes sure that they're, you know, getting boxes of produce throughout the season regularly. So it's pretty nice to see that.
So people bring her some of the meat
Yep.
and she processes it and shares
Yeah.
it back into the community.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's how can we not love that about our communities is just that sharing. Hey, Jason, what are some of the essential partners that you would recommend other First Nations and Indigenous operations have when they're getting started?
I would definitely reach out to other like community that are implementing the same projects that you're interested in doing. And so I have people that reach out to me quite often on market garden operation and, you know, precision agriculture and things like that. And so I'd be welcome to help you along that journey as well. But yeah,
Sharing of knowledge and
yeah.
experience. Yeah.
Mhm. So
You know, the summer program has been quite, I think, instrumental for you in bringing people in. Again, remind us, how long have you been operating and how many people do you have involved in your summer program?
so the Flying Dust Market Garden's been operating since 2009. This is my first year being employed at the Market Garden, and we employ on average about 6 summer students in a year. We had 3 from our TPEC program. It's a high school located in Meadow Lake, and then we had 3 from it's a youth employment skills program, and this was a program offered by the government of Canada, and we're able to create 3 you know, summer student positions for them to access, and we took them from a different background. So we had 1 high school student, 1 student fresh out of high school, and 1 student in university. And so kind of a varied age gap, I guess, between the students. And so it was nice to see the different experiences that they had and interests that they're, you know, exploring. And so.
Yeah, super. Jason, what does a typical year look like in terms of planning and that? So, you know, from now, usually our years start in April 1, just because of the fiscal planning, but what does, what does a year typically look like? Obviously summer students, but from April 1 back to March 31st.
Yeah. So yeah, this is my first year, so I'm still learning quite a bit of the routine, but from my understanding so far, it seems like an all year thing, right? And I believe my season will start again next year in March, where I'll be unwrapping, my bees and feeding them syrup and getting them, their strength back, ready for the next honey harvest season, and re-medicating my bees, and just planning out crop selection and where I'm going to plant my next garden, and crop rotation with cover crops and stuff like that as well. Hiring and interviews as well during this time. We generally get our, I guess, full operation around May, where we start, working the ground and planting the seeds and marking out the areas as well. Utilize the greenhouse to start the seedlings. And yeah, just stuff like that, I guess. During the off season, we do a lot of networking, I guess. So a lot of public speaking, presentations, and advisory councils as well, and just trying to access other external funding.
You mentioned an advisory council. Is that internal in your community? Who is it? What is its mandate?
So we've recently joined an advisory council with the U of S for soil health. And so it's just like a group of different like-minded community or people that are interested in agriculture, and we just kind of just brainstorm ideas and things that we could do in our communities to improve, soil health and things like that.
Sharing information on that. So that's really a more of a regional or a provincial initiative as well.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have a community advisory council as well for the market garden?
Not yet, but it would be something we'd probably be interested in exploring.
So it's 14 years, and you guys have done so much in that as well. The question is that how do you promote the summer student program? Is there a lot of interest? Like, what is your key messaging? When do you do it? How do you do it?
So we post on like job boards, so like Indeed and LinkedIn, as well as social media platforms like Facebook, and we just make little I guess like little banners kind of just explaining what the position's all about and what we're looking for in a summer student. And it seems to generate quite a bit of interest. We had, I think, over 30 applicants this year for the 3 Youth Employment Skills Program. And for the selection process, we just wanted to make sure that we had a nice, healthy variety of, youth coming from different backgrounds.
Do you have a butchering program? You have bison. How do you process that?
We're just in the process of building a new butchering facility, and so it's almost done. It just needs some equipment and a few more infrastructures added into it, but I assume it'll be operational soon.
Excellent. You guys do a ton of many things in many different areas. What do you feel are your greatest needs, and is there any gaps you're looking for support in?
Yeah, so some of the things that we seem to struggle with is actually distribution of our produce. So trying to maintain and find partnerships with other organizations that are interested in distributing our produce. So we're interested in exploring some exportation to like markets in United States, like California for potato crop. As well as value-added products that we could be using our produce for as well.
So bringing them to the next level itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Going back to community canning, food processing, what type of training or workshops are your community members looking for or that you've offered?
So we only just offered that one program at the for the canning and like the pickling there. And it was kind of just a pilot program to see what the interest was like and see who in the community member could lead a program like that. And so the interest was definitely there, and I think it will be more successful next year as well. And yeah, so we're definitely interested in further exploring it.
That's great. So the community workshop, what about in this, let's see, what advice do you have to First Nations that are looking at getting into food canning, processing, or any of your operations?
I guess it would just to start. It's a lot of fun. You know, there's lots of produce you can explore with pickling, and I find it, awesome and interesting. And I love trying all the new different things. And definitely the highlight this year was the hot peppers. They're very tasty and surprisingly hot. Almost too hot, but yeah, it was nice. Yeah,
That sounds like you could do a contest to see about who can eat these hot peppers. And
yeah.
yeah, the Mohawk can walk on those those high buildings, and you guys will just inspire people to eat hot peppers. That's just fantastic there. What's next for Flying Dust First Nation?
So, well, we plan on adding the chickens to the chicken coop next year, as well as expanding our beehive operation. We also want to explore some hiring of immigrant workers for beekeeping operations, and just expanding our agricultural land use throughout the community, and as well as implementing value-added products to our product list. So.
Yeah, would you I'm sorry, I was going to ask you on I just forgot what I was going to say in that. I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh, I know. How many community members do you have in community and in total?
So we have over 1,800 community members for Flying Dust First Nation, and we have, I believe, 800 roughly living in community.
And what about in the surrounding area?
It's roughly just over 5,000 for population.
That's great. It's huge. So, any other questions that we might have from our attendees in this audience? Feel free to add them in there. Jason, any final comments that you would like to make? It sounds like it's like just all the things you guys are doing is just so. I got a question. What caused your community? Are you aware of what led your community into getting into all of these types of operations?
Yeah, definitely. Self-sustainability and food security is their top priority, and just making sure that we're able to have a healthy community and provide them with the nutritional needs that they need. Yeah.
You're driven by the community for the community. Very wonderful. Great. So I think that's going to wrap us up for our speaking session today. Thank you very much, Jason. I'm just going to bring up here on screen. We've got, as I mentioned, we've got a few more sessions coming up. Geez. Bear with me here. Our new technology can drive us crazy. So we've had Jason Cardinal from the Flying Dust First Nation speaking about all of the amazing things that they're doing in their farming and agricultural operations, including their canning, drying, and storing fish and other foods itself, and where they're going in the future. So I mentioned that we do have some guides and information sheets that we are producing. The startup guides are going to be doing one on greenhousing. This will take information that was shared in our last season sessions on how to start greenhouse, different options on that. We look at planning for climate change, regenerative farming. And Jason, you mentioned some of the things that you guys are doing there. And storage is absolutely a part of what we do to mitigate the impacts of climate change. We've got community gardens. We've got Annette Pelche-Flamand speaking in one of our future sessions, and she's going to be part of talking about community gardens. And she had mentioned that there is a difference between a community garden, a band garden, and Jason, you'd also mentioned some other aspects there. We also have in that session coming up Chef Williams out of one of the First Nations on Vancouver Island. He's going to be speaking about aquatic gardens as well. We're going to talk about composting and soil, because Jason, you mentioned that that's one of the things that's quite important is being a part of those conversations on soil health. making sure you've got the right soil with right composition and how to mitigate that. That ties back to our climate change. And then the apiary and beekeeping itself. That's also an activity in climate change, but also a way to bring good health back into your area. We'll also be doing some information sheets on food labeling, small scale animal farming for small land parcels, such as even in your backyard. And some of those are chickens and goats in that. So if you have any ideas of people who can help us with those guides or even review them, we are welcome and encourage those. And where we are at right now is where we get into the draw session itself. So Erin is getting that prepared. A reminder, our next session is January 10th. We're going to be talking for the Planting for Climate Change and Regenerative Agriculture. Community Gardens on January 24th, February 7th, connecting and supporting agencies. We have Farm Credit Canada on that session, as well as Agriculture, Agri-Foods Canada with the Indigenous Pathfinders Program. Plus, we have the First Nations Agriculture and Financing of Ontario program speaking there, and we'll also introduce you to the other Indigenous funding agencies across Canada on that session. And then followed by that is harvesting and foraging. In that session, we have Chef Ray Bear out of Atlantic Canada. He's not only a chef, but he also teaches workshops on harvesting and foraging. And tied into that session is Candace Appleby. She's the head of the Small Scale Food Processors Association of Canada. So talking about the steps to do there and the different training that's available. And then our last session in the season before everyone returns to agriculture is on Indigenous women in agriculture itself. Remember, all of these sessions are free to attend. They're always on Wednesdays from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ottawa time, lunchtime in Ottawa, morning in British Columbia, and end of the day in Atlantic Canada. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in January. Happy New Year, and wishing everybody a safe holiday.